Hello, Looney Loomers. Joyce here, also known as 33 but I think you know that by now. What do you think of my new logo, eh? I went for colorful, creative, and quirky, just like me. Anyway, welcome back for another one of my Looney tutorials. I am still on my learning curve, but let's just see how it goes, eh? I have a real treat for you today, since it is really hard to come up with a new design you can make on only one loom, because so much has been done already since the 10 plus years that Rainbowloom exists. But that didn't stop me. I tried to come up with a new design, and this is what I came up with. It's my all caps design, and it's reversible too. Look at the back side here. I think that's cute too, with the little stripes. So it's called the all caps for a reason, but you'll see that once we start laying the bands. Prepare your fingers. Oh, I also want to tell you that should you have also made a design of your own for a Rainbowloom bracelet and you want to do me the honor of letting me make a tutorial for you, please stay tuned till the end of this video because I will tell you how you can contact me. Remember, you can always pause the video to catch up, rewind to watch something again, and of course you can always speed up if I'm going too slow for you. I will always put timestamps in my tutorial so you can find certain parts really quickly by clicking the times you see in the description box below. I'll speed the video up throughout the repetitive parts and just skip the boring parts, okay? So just tap pause if you need to until you're caught up. And yeah, enough ballyhoo. Let's grab our stuff and let's get looming. For this design you will need at least one loom. The piece that comes off of that loom will be about this length. So should you want to make a longer bracelet that fits your wrist, I would definitely advise you to put another loom behind this one. Otherwise, you can just make an extension so it fits your wrist. And at the end of my Luxor tutorial, you can find it on my channel, you can find 2 easy ways to make an extension, and one even uses the auto loom. So that's a lot of fun to do. You will need your hook, of course, a C-clip, and you know by now I'll be getting help from my trusty little sidekick here, my stitch marker. I will be using 4 colors for this bracelet in the same color scheme as this one, but you can use whatever colors you want to, of course. I will always let you know what part of the bracelet we're working on so you can choose for yourself what colors you want to put down. It uses 99 bands in total on one loom, so there are a lot of bands in this bracelet. Your loom should be set up in this formation right here, so the normal staggered position with the middle pin 1 pin lower as the outer 2, and the openings facing away from you to start with. Now, in case you like to put some beads or bling on your bracelet, this bracelet comes off the loom upside down. Okay? First, we're going to be laying a simple border around the outside of the loom all the way to the top and have them meet in the middle up here. That pin, so do not put a border band all the way to the end because we're going to bring it into the middle pin right there. And always make sure that you push your bands down to make room for the next layer. There are a lot of layers in this bracelet, so we need some room to work with. Okay, now the border is that color that you see right here on the outside, hugging the bracelet. So that's brown for me. You can choose whatever color you want to, of course. The first 2 bands will always start in the middle and go diagonally up, to the left and to the right, and then we're simply going to follow the border all the way to the top. Same thing on the other side. Remember to bring it into the middle at the top. And now we're going to push our bands down to make room. Now we're going to be laying our first set of cap bands that gave this bracelet its name. We're going to be placing them on the pins in the middle row right here, but we're going to be alternating them with regular bands going up. And the regular bands we will be placing, the single chain going up, is that brown under these orange crosses right here, going all the way up. And the orange crosses you see here, those are the first set of cap bands. Okay, now the first cap band goes on the pin at the bottom right here. And then we follow that up by laying a single band straight forward. And we will be putting a cap band right on top there. And then another single band going forward. Now, this is very important if you want your crosses all to be facing in the same direction. And what I mean by that is, if you look at this one here, you can see that all my crosses are going from right to left. So the right side is on top over the left. And you get that effect by putting the cap bands on the pins the exact same way every time. So it matters how you twist them on. So I always put them on like twisting them around the right side and then putting them over the pin. But what you can also do, of course, is twist them around the left side and going up the pin. So just make sure that you keep doing this the same way the entire time we're going up to have that cross face the same way. And of course that's not important at all, but I just like those little details, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, now we're going to be doing this all the way to the top. So a single band and our cap band, a single band and our cap band. Okay, so the cap bands will be between the single bands going up. Okay, once we've done this, we're going to be laying another set of cap bands all on top of the outer border on both sides going up. And for these cap bands, the direction you twist them on is not important. You won't see that in the end result. And these cap bands are the lime green bands you see right here going to the middle with that little knob right here. Okay, now we're not going to be putting a cap band on the last pins of our loom, of course, because they don't have a border band on them, but we're also not going to be laying them on the last corner here of our border. So we're going to be stopping one pin short of the end of our border, so to speak. Those will be the last cap bands you lay. Okay, now let's do that on both sides. Sometimes my English leaves me for a brief second. Okay, let's do that all the way up to the top. Your loom should look like this right now, with a cap band on almost every pin. Now I want you to push down your cap bands a bit to make room, but not smoosh them all the way down, because we're going to be working on every pin, so we also need some room to work on our bands itself. So do not smoosh them all together. We are going to turn our loom around now for some flipping and stretching. And first we are going to flip a part of these inner cap bands right here. What we're going to do is go under our single bands that we laid. And we're going to grab one part of that cap band, one of the loops, so to speak. And we're going to simply flip it over the pin and let it go. Okay, so you go under this band right here. You just grab that cap band and flip it over. You can just let it go. You already see the crosses here now. You see? Again, we just grab it and flip it over. And we do that with every cap band all the way to the top. Now that we flipped over our middle cap bands, we're going to be working with the cap bands on the outside of our loom. And what we're going to be doing is stretching the top part of that cap band to the pin diagonally down in the middle. Okay, now if you remember, those were the bands going from the outside in here with that little knob that's under the border. See that little line right here? And it's very important for that little knob to be fixed into place that you make sure that the crossed over part of your cap band is on the outside of the loom. So that means that the little cross it makes has to be on the outside on every pin. Now of course you can already lay them all on the outside before you start with the stretching. I usually just do it when I'm stretching and work one pin at a time. So I check where that cross part is, here it is, and I just put my finger on it, keep it in place, and then we take our hook and we grab the top part of that cap band and we stretch it diagonally down to the middle. So it stays on top of the other band. You see? We do the same thing here. Hang on to that cross. Doesn't matter if you start at the bottom of the loom or at the top, as long as you keep a good hold on that cross and make sure that the loops of the cap band stay in the correct order. Okay? So grab a hold of that cross, pull it down. And you do the same thing on the other side. You grab a hold of that cross and you put it diagonally, you pull the band diagonally down. Again, the cross, there it is. You can feel it under your finger because it's a little hard, of course. So grab hold and pull the band diagonally down to the middle. Same thing here. There is the cross on the outside and pull the band down over that middle pig. Okay? We do this all the way down or up. Depends on where you started, of course. Now that we've stretched all our cap bands to the middle, our loom should look like this. Now push down your bands a little bit, don't smoosh them all together because we still need room to work with the bands too, of course, but just push them down a little bit because we need some room for the final layer. And to put that down, we need to turn our loom around, of course. Make sure that the pins are facing, the openings in the pins are facing away from us again. And we're going to put down our final layer, and that is the layer, the color that you see poking through here, so the olive green here in my case. Okay, I'm sticking to olive, and we're simply going to put a border on top of our border. So you go diagonally out and up all the way to the top, and we do exactly the same as we did in the beginning with that bottom border, the first border we put down. And we go all the way to the top and have them meet in the middle here again. Once we've laid our final layer and gently push down your bands a bit, we are ready to turn our loom around for some flipping, looping and the stretching. We're going to do some flipping first. We are going to flip over that parts of that first border we laid down, so the brown one in my case. And we're going to skip these diagonal bands. And we're going to go to the back of the band and flip that over. So locate the back of the band, do not grab it here at the front, but at the back, and flip it over the pin. Okay, just simply flip it over the pin and let go. You do that going up, but we do not flip over this last pin right here, this last band right here and the diagonal one. And we're doing the same thing on the other side. Skip the diagonal one, locate the back part of this band right here and flip it over the pin. Flip it over. Oh, it didn't want to flip. There we go. Flip it over the pin. Going to the top. And again, we are not going to be flipping over that last straight band right here and not the diagonal one. Okay, now we're going back to the beginning. And we're simply going to loop up that second border we just laid, so the olive green bands in my case. Now before we can start looming those up, we need to place another cap band on that bottom pin right here. And we're going to start looming the diagonal bands first. So we go in the cap band, locate the top one of those border bands, and just simply loop it back to itself. Same thing on the other side. Where are you? There we go, back to itself. And you're simply going to loom these all the way to the top, meeting in the middle at the top. So just go in. On every pin, it should be the top band you see when you look down in the pin. See? Go in. Next to that band we just flipped. Oh, only grab one, Joyce. There we go. And we're going to do that all the way to the top on both sides. And meet in the middle at the top, of course. Right? Don't forget these bands. Once you've looped up all these bands, your loom should look like this. And don't forget to loop up those final diagonal bands and have them meet in the middle. And now we're going to be working with the second part of the outer caps. So that's that lime green band. Remember in the beginning we stretched the top parts of these bands diagonally down to that pin in the middle. And now we're going to do the exact same thing, but then with the bottom part of these cap bands. Now to show you, it's always easier to turn your loom sideways. And we're going to have to grab the bottom part of these cap bands now, pull them over the pin and attach them to that same pin as where the top part went. Okay, so you just grab the bottom part of that cap band now, over the pin and on that same pin as where the bottom part went. Okay, make sure you grab the bottom part of the cap band. Sometimes the bands can get a bit twisted because we've been working on these pins, of course. So you just make sure that you're grabbing the bottom one. This is the top one, you see, because it's on that pin in the middle already. So you grab the bottom part of that cap band, go over the pin and put it on the same pin as where its bottom part went. Okay, same thing. Grab the bottom part and put it over to the pin in the middle. Okay, I'll show you on the other side. So you have the two loops of the cap band right here. Now we have the one that's already at the sitting on the pin in the middle. That's this one. So we're going to be grabbing the bottom part, put it over the pin and also attach it to the pin in the middle where the bottom part is. Okay, next pin. Grab the bottom part of the cap band, go over the pin and put it on the same pin as its bottom went. Yeah, and you do that with all the cap bands going all the way to the top. And once you've done that, I want you to push down the bands in the middle to make room, because we also still have to loop up that chain in the middle, of course. Okay? Now that we've stretched over all our outer cap bands, our loom should look like this. And we're ready to start working with the cap bands in the middle again. In my case, the orange ones. And what we're going to be doing is grab that part that we flipped over first, so that part that is in between the pins right here and loose. And we're going to be putting that on the pins diagonally to the front of it on the outside, both of them, giving it a nice good stretch, you see? So you go into the next one and put it on the pins in front of it, both of the outside pins, like so. And you do that all the way to the, oops, that one didn't want to go, all the way to the top. Give it a good stretch to the outside. Okay, and do that all the way to the top. Once you've given these cap bands a nice good stretch, we are ready for the final two parts of our looming. And we are going to be looping up our borders. The first border we laid down, so the bottom bands, the brown ones in my case, and that inner chain, and that's what we're going to do first. We're simply going to loom all these bands back to themselves. And that first band here inside the cap band is pretty easy because it's very loose. and you just simply loop it back to itself. But the next ones are very tight. There are a lot of bands on these pins, and because we looped the outer cap bands on it twice, there's a lot of tension on it too. I have had bands breaking here, so just be careful. What I like to do is grab that bottom band and not just simply pull it up towards the pin, but pull it towards myself a little bit first to create some room. And you can always take it in your fingers, of course, to release the tension a bit, because instead of having all the tension on that one tip of that band, you will divide the tension in on a larger part of that band, and then just pull it up. Or what I like to do is just put it on the pin and then go back inside that pin with my hook and move it around the outside a bit to get that teardrop shape forming there. You see? Let me show you that again. So I go into the pin. See, it's very tight. You have to wiggle a bit and dig around. And I pull the band towards me. Go around the outside, of course. Put it on the pin in front. Then I put my hook back inside the pin and push these bands aside a bit. You know, just to release the tension, and then you get the teardrop shape. Okay, we're going to do that all the way to the top. So just be careful. If you just pull it here, it's very tight, you know, you can't reach it. So just go toward yourself a little bit and then on the pin and release the tension around the pin. And there you go. Okay, wow, so tight. Do that all the way to the top and I meet you back there. The last band we looped up is the one going to the top right here. I surely hope you all made it without any band snapping, guys. And we're ready to do our final step right now, and that is looping up that first border that we laid. So that are the brown bands right here. Okay, and we're simply going to loop these back to themselves as well. So the first two are pretty easy because they're in the cap band right here. So simply grab the one on the top, loop it back to itself. Now there is some tension on these outer pins, but it is not nearly as much as in the middle here. Still, be careful because it's the final step. Don't want it going wrong right now. So go all the way to the bottom, grab that bottommost band and just loop it back to itself. Okay, all the way at the bottom. Oops, there we go. See, it's still a little bit tight, so be careful. Same thing on the other side. Go in the pin, grab the band all the way at the bottom and just loop it back to itself. And do that all the way to the top and make sure you have them meet in the middle again. Don't forget to loop up these diagonal bands as well. I meet you here when we're done. Now that we have our final two bands meeting in the middle again, we are done looping, so we're ready to take our bracelet off the loom. Yay! Now first we're gonna have to tie it off, and there are a lot of bands on this middle pin right here, so be careful when you do that. What I like to do is put my hook through the middle of the pin and have it come out at the side. And then just put a band on my hook and pull it up through the bands. And attach the other side on my hook as well. Oop, don't lose it. There we go. And now you can either leave it on your hook while you take the rest of it off the loom, or you can put your C-clip right there. But of course, I am using my trusty little sidekick here to keep it all together. There we go. Clip it off. That's not going anywhere. Now you cannot take this bracelet, just rip it off the loom, because bands will break. There's way too much tension on here. So what you have to do is just take all the bands off the loom one by one. Well, not all the bands one by one, but take all the bands off each pin one by one. Okay, you do this all the way up and down. And then even when you have done all that, you can also take the middle bands off the middle pins. I just work at the bottom like I'm doing right now, but do not just rip it off the loom. Just go slow and steady, take your time. You spend all this time working on it, so what's a few extra minutes, eh? Okay, so let's just take it off really slow and easy. And there we have our beautiful all caps bracelet. Now sometimes these little crosses can get a little bit tucked in, so I always just give my bracelet a bit of a stretch and run my finger over the little crosses to make them pop out a bit. Should they be a little bit tucked in, you can just give them a tug. And these little knobbies here on the side should all just be very prominent and all be in the right spot, because if you have done it correctly, you have made sure in the step where we stretched over those cap bands that you put the crosses on the outside of those cap bands. That's what makes these knobs all fall nicely into place. Sometimes they get tucked in a little bit under the outside band, of course, under that border, but your bracelet should come off the loom looking like this. Well, that was it for today, Looney Loomers. I hope you all had fun making this beautiful all caps bracelet. And remember, when you have made this bracelet and you post it on social media, please do not forget to tag me in the pictures and use the hashtags 33shintara33 and hashtag all caps bracelet so I don't miss your beautiful creations. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel with the button right here. And come find me on Instagram too for more of my content and creations. The link is in the description box below. And if you have any questions or comments whatsoever, feel free to message me here or on Instagram. And if you have made a design you want me to make a tutorial for, please contact me for that too. And send me some pictures if you can, and we'll see if I can make a tutorial for you as well. Okay, stay tuned for more of my designs and tutorials coming up. Turn on your notifications, stay colorful, stay creative, and most of all, stay loony. That's all, folks.